When we use the term user setup, we are referring to the process of setting up new user records for access to your Denari data. A user record contains the username and password, as well as some other information along with security settings for your users. There are a couple of rules related to users and Denari that we should cover first. A user license is required for each person who will be logging into Denari. Additional licenses, when needed, can be purchased from our admin office. Each user should have their own user record. Only one person can be logged in at a time with the same user record. If a second person attempts to log in using the same username and password, that second person will kick out the first person. Once you have reached your license limit of users, the Add New button will disappear and you won't be able to add new users. Now you can set up your users. Let's go to the Admin tab and User Setup. When your Denari company is initially set up by Synergy, you will have one user record that will allow you to log into your data. You can edit that record or add a new one. In either case, you'll need to click on one of the records that are there to get to the Add New button. So let's click on one that's here in the training company. If you're creating a new user, click the Add New button here in the button bar. Enter the person's first and last name. We'll use the training record here as a demo. Enter the login name. This can be called the username. The field must be unique. There cannot be two people using the same username in either your company or any other Denari company, so using something like Susan may not be a good idea. There are probably several Susans using Denari in other organizations. Denari will check for duplicates when you leave this field and will not let you proceed until you have a unique username. Also, remember that this field is case sensitive. Enter a password. In reading the text above the field, you'll see that it must be at least 6 characters long and have both upper and lowercase characters as well as at least one number. Enter the person's email address. Having the correct email address here can help us in tech support. That email address shows in the tech support messages that are generated through the support button at the top of the Denari. Occasionally, we need to send something to you that can't be sent through the message system, and having the email address there makes it much faster and easier to fire off an email. There are also some features in Denari that send an email notification, and this is the email that will be used for that. The assigned server field will always be general, unless we tell you differently. There are multiple servers that handle Denari's various print jobs. This field designates the server that will handle reports for this user. Almost always it will be general unless there are some special circumstances. It's possible to organize your users into departments. You can create new departments under the Gifts tab, Departments. It is actually the same list of departments that you would use for fund codes. There's one advantage to grouping users into departments, and that is when you run some standardized reports. One of the distribution options is My Department. When you run a report, choosing that option will cause it to show up in the inbox of everyone in your department. There are two methods to control users' access to Denari. The first is access level. You must assign an access level to everyone, and the options are here. First, System Administrator. This gives the user full access to all of Denari. You must assign this level to at least one user in your organization, but you can have as many as you like. Data Entry User is the next one in line. This person has the same access capability as the System Administrator, except for the items on the Admin tab. So a data entry user can't change system settings, can't add or change users, export data, or any of the other things found on the admin page. They cannot reopen batches and some other system control type functions. The next in line is Management. This level has fewer access abilities than the data entry user. It is intended for the person who doesn't use Denari a lot, but does occasionally need to run reports, see donors' gift history or pledges, etc. They are not able to create or change gift records, pledge records, appeal codes, fund codes, and so on. And then finally, Read Only. This level allows just that. The user can only read the information in Denari. they can't change anything. The security level settings allow for a more detailed level of control, even down to the field level. You can prevent someone from seeing selected fields or making changes to those fields. This topic can be a little complicated and will be covered in more detail in a separate training session. Many of Denari's clients find this level to be more than they need. The important thing here is that you will not be using the security level control. Everyone should have either a 0 or 100 for their setting. This gives them access to Denari to the level of their setting in the access level above. In the interface options section, we have a number of checkboxes that allow us to further control user access. The first is show credit card information. Unchecking this box means that even though the user may have system administrator or data entry access, they will not be able to view or edit credit card and electronic transfer banking information. So if you have someone, for example, who needs to reopen batches from time to time, or they need to have access to the admin page, you can still restrict them from changing credit card and EFT information when needed. A quick note about credit card information and EFT information in Denari. Denari does not store or display that information for anyone. A user can only see the first and last 4 digits of the credit card info and EFT bank information. But users can change credit card and EFT information if they have the access level setting that will allow that. The Hide Quick Reports checkbox refers to the reports found by clicking the Reports button at the top of Denari. These reports provide basic giving information that you may not want even a data entry user to access, so unchecking the box would prevent that. The Hide Favorites reports refers to those reports under the Favorites button at the top of Denari. This works in exactly the same way as the Quick Reports. Hide Financial Stats refers to the information found on the right side of the home page of Denari. That's the one you see when you first log in. Hide Gifts will restrict the user from seeing donors' gift history pages. And Network User refers to a feature used by organizations who have multiple Denari companies set up. This topic will be covered in a separate training session. However, briefly, we can say that Denari offers an add-on ability to link multiple Denari companies together in a network that can share users and reports. You can include this user in the network by checking this box. Down in the User Access Status section, we see just 2 fields. One is Locked Out. It just allows you to lock this person out of Denari until you uncheck the box again. And the last field just shows when this user last logged into Denari. Once you have the settings the way you want, hit Save, and this user will now be able to log into your Denari data. You can come back and change the settings anytime you'd like. Sooner or later, one of your staff members will leave Denari, and you may hire someone to replace them. You can handle this in one of 2 ways. First, you can simply change the existing user record. You can go to the Admin tab and then User Setup and select the user record of the staff person who is leaving. Change the name from the old staff person to the new, along with the username, password, and email address, and hit Save. There's one possible problem with this approach, however. There are some features in Denari that are tied to a specific user. For example, when a user has been assigned to a contact task, the contact task is really linked to the user record. So simply changing the name on that record will just mean that this new person is linked to that task. If that's not a big problem for you, then this may be the easiest way to add your new staff person. The second way to handle the staff change is to delete the existing name record and add the new one. Again, just go to the Admin tab and then User Setup. Select the user and hit the Delete button, the little red X here at the top of the record. Now you can set up your new user record. This concludes this session on User Setup. If you have any questions, please contact our support office through the support button found at the top of Denari.